Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master. Oh, and we are here for day 20 of Coffee and MTG with Nikachu. Oh, yes, let's talk some magic. Oh, we got the good mornings already. Good morning, Gavin. Good morning, Kyoka, and also to Lord Magicus. Oh, I don't have my right lighting setup going on here. Give me a second. I'm going to be set up. There we go. I'm ready in the morning. Good morning, Mikey J. Well, where would this morning show be without Mikey? Mikey showing up every single morning. Beautiful, awesome. So yeah, I'm here to answer your questions. We're gonna have a great show today, as we do every single day. It's so much fun to do these broadcasts. And remember, don't forget to leave your questions in the comments section. 3 question marks before the question, 3 question marks after the question helps me identify the questions that I need to see. But of course, we're going to take a second to wait for everybody to enter the chat on this lovely freezing cold Friday. I don't know where you're from, but I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and it seems like winter is not over. It was like 6 degrees Celsius in the morning here. Very cold. I mean, just ridiculously awful. Mikey J says probably wind up in the territories on some misadventure if I didn't show up. That's right. If Mikey J does not show up for the live stream, we gotta call someone. We gotta call some investigation or something. Yeah, Gavin can concur from Winnipeg, Manitoba. It's awfully cold. I need the hot coffee. If I don't have hot coffee, I'm screwed. Dark Angel, good morning. Good morning, Thomas Perry. Good morning, Endgame. Good morning to all my special fancy mods out there. Yeah, we'd be completely lost without Mikey. We'd be a disaster. Good morning, Niels Nielsen. Also, if Niels Nielsen doesn't show up for a stream, we should also, call the police, let them know that we got to file a missing person report or something like that. Tobias Markert. Oh, boys. Good morning, Lassie from Channel Fireball. Still working on the sponsorship, I'm certain. Mikey J says, send the Mounties if I'm missing in action. All right, we're going to send the Mounties. Are you from Canada? Mikey J, I think you're from. I can't tell where is everyone from. That's hard for me to keep track of. I know there's a lot of people from Europe. Lassie, I know you're from Germany, so you don't have to let me know in the comments section. That one I can remember. Good morning, Chris Yedinek. Lassie's working on that sponsorship with Channel Fireball. He's working. We're doing a lot. Doing a good job. Yeah, don't forget to like the stream. Don't worry, we're going to remind everyone as the stream develops deep enough. And I think there's still what's the news going on in the Magic the Gathering world right now? There's been, I think we brushed on this before, but Mark Rosewater is trying to address the problem of these expensive products that are coming out from Wizards of the Coast. They're pushing $300. There's this secret lair fetch land thing, which is not really addressing the problem of the fetch lands. Yeah, they are a reprint that's not really doing anything to the price of the original fetch lands, because these fetch lands are just more expensive than the original fetch lands. And I don't know if anyone read what Mark Rosewater said on Twitter, but basically he said, it's very hard to design. They want to take advantage of the whales. Just putting it out there. Look, we need to make money from the whales. The whales got the money. They want to spend the money. How do we do this while still making it a collectible card game? From his perspective, what makes modern and legacy and vintage so expensive is because of the collectability. Do you have an opinion on that? Should these games be more collectible than they are a game? Because I think there's a weird balance to do. And of course, it's very hard for them to predict what cards are going to be really expensive in the long run. How could they know Mishra's Bauble was going to be $80? But they reprinted that card. They did address the problem eventually, and the price collapsed to nothing. It's like Mishra's Bauble. Well, Mishra's Bauble might now be on the rise again because of Lurrus, but it used to be $80. Now it's down to something like 15-ish. Maybe it's a little bit lower, because everyone has a fear of the companions getting banned. But you know, where's the balance in this game? You know, certainly people. There is a mystique to the expensive cards. I think that's why it's so easy for people to buy into Legacy, you know, throw money at like reserved list dual lands because they're expensive and they know that it's going to retain value. And of course, people are hesitant to buying into Standard because that is a format where there is not much value. You're going to spend a lot of money for cards that are going to collapse to nothing. So there's this weird balancing act between making the game collectible, but also making the game a game. But just to reiterate my position on this, like I have no problem with cards being collectible, but Modern is Wizards' best format. In my mind, and hey, I could be totally wrong about this, Modern should be the premier format of Magic the Gathering, not Standard. I think Standard should be the format that should be like off to the sidelines. That's the fringe format, the format that they should make the most accessible and also put the most attention to is Modern, because there is a deck almost for everybody in that format. You don't get that in Standard. You don't get that in Pioneer. You can get that sort of in Legacy, but because of the reserved list, that can't be supported in the long run by Wizards of the Coast, but Modern can. So because at least from my perspective, and I can see from the perspective of a lot of people, for example, there are just people who just like to play control decks. There are people who just like to play aggro decks, play tribal decks, play mono white. They like to play Jund. They like to play Abzan. They want to play Simic. They want, you know, there is something for everyone in Modern, but there is not exactly a deck for everyone in Pioneer or and especially Standard, where it's really restricted to like very few archetypes. So you can like Modern is still, in my opinion, the Wild West of like all possibilities, and that should attract the very largest audience. So making it as affordable as possible, I think it would be wonderful if the average deck in Modern was between $500 to $700. I think that would be a good thing. I don't know who else would want to argue with that, and I think that's still a price range that Wizards can still take advantage of. And of course, they can just make money off of reprinting somewhat reasonably cards that get relatively expensive. I'm sure they cashed in on that Mishra's Bauble. Maybe Mishra's Bauble could have been rare so that, you know, the price goes down, but it doesn't go down so much that Wizards can still cash in on more rare Mishra's Baubles in the future, just like they did with Tarmogoyf. You just keep reprinting them, just more and more and more and more. I'm sure there's a balancing act with like limited and stuff like that, but because Modern is like the best format we've got right now, I think they should put more effort into making it more accessible. Don't make Standard more accessible. Look, you got $600 to spend on Standard, put it into Modern. That's because you know your money's going to be trash. The average Standard deck should ideally cost like $200. I think Wizards should make a much better effort, concerted effort, making Standard as cheap as possible. The good cards should be around rare, not necessarily mythic, unless it's for like, I don't know, Commander or something. I would like to let everyone, I'm curious to know what everyone else's thoughts on this. I think it's a very interesting issue. Very, very interesting issue. All right, so let's get some, we have questions. We've got some questions. Oh, Mikey's actually from New York. But he used to be, I can get to Montreal within a half day's travel. Gotcha. So, okay, let's just get into the questions that exist. How good is Blood Moon in Modern right now? It's terrible. It'll be still a fine sideboard card for the matchups that it's going to be good against, but for the most part, there's enough Arkham's Astrolabe decks that have undermined the power of Blood Moon that Blood Moon is not going to be as effective as it used to be. Like, here's the deal. If your deck is playing Blood Moon, that means your mana base has been customized to play a Blood Moon, which means your mana base is not optimal or ideal compared to a deck that would not be playing Blood Moon. Which also means that your mana base game one is at a disadvantage to other decks because your Blood Moon isn't in the main deck, because your Blood Moon isn't good in the main deck in Modern right now. It's a sideboard card. So it's a very difficult balancing act for the Blood Moon decks. I mean, even myself, I could feel it when I was playing with Blue-Red Merfolk. My mana base probably could have been better in game one, but I can't play Blood Moon in the main deck for game one because there's too many decks that don't care about it. So that's the problem of Blood Moon right now. Still probably playable in the sideboard, but it's not good. I wouldn't say it's well positioned. It's just a sideboard card. Oh, Random Day, also from Germany. Gavin also says, how good is Grafdigger's Cage in Modern right now? It's okay. I don't want to say it's like over the top great, but it's okay. I mean, it's gonna stop. It's very good against Neoform. I would like to say it's good against Dredge, but I think the Dredge numbers have collapsed. They're pretty scared of all the like Tormod's Crypt or Soul Guide Lanterns out there that can get recycled by Lurrus. But it's okay. It's also effective against the Devoted. It's playable against the Devoted Devastation deck because they have tutors. But don't forget, like, they could just have an infinite mana combo on the battlefield, search the thing up anyway, and it doesn't even do anything. Good morning, Tim Goya. Oh, our Salute and Chubby Meatball here. They're actually in the other room. I saw them. It was cute. They were cuddling. That like very, very rarely happens. But you know what? It's so cold outside. It's so cold in here. Look, I've got the sweater on because like it's freezing here. They're desperate for warmth. They're like frenemies. But you know what? When times are tough, when it starts freezing outside, they're gonna share the warmth between each other. It was really cute. I rarely see them touching each other. It's probably the second time I ever saw them voluntarily like cuddle with each other. Because like behind the scenes, I try to push them together, but like that doesn't work out very well. Usually ends up with Chubby Meatball just slapping Salute, and I'm like, damn it, you can't force friendship. Mikey J says, I'm sorry, I only follow Robo Rosewater, the random card generator. Random VZ asks, I've taken a break from Modern after the whole companion fiasco and moved to Legacy. Has Modern settled down and is it diverse nowadays? And I would say yes, it has settled down. It is very diverse, but it's still like a format where it's got diversity, but there's a lot of companions in it. So I mean, there's still a lot of diverse decks playing Lurrus. There's still a lot of diverse decks playing Yorion. So there is diversity. It has settled down. It's a playable format. There's about 1,000 people playing in the leagues right now on Magic the Gathering Online. I would say relatively healthy number, not a booming number, not like it's had higher numbers prior to Pioneer's existence, but I think it's a healthy number. Of course, people are still like bitching about it, but that's Modern. That's just how Modern people do. But good luck in Legacy. Good luck in Legacy. Thomas Perry says, you spoke about privatized MTG events and tourneys a few streams back. Is there a tourney that runs through Canada that you recommend, possibly face-to-face games? That's the only one I can think of. Face-to-face games are the only ones who do it like basically Canada-wide. But if I don't know how often they're going to still do it, but Fusion Gaming Online, my favorite local game store, by the way, they host a Fusion 5K, real money, basically once every year. So they host it usually somewhere in the fall/winter, like somewhere between October and November. So I would look out for that in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So look out for that sort of event if they're going to host that again. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, given the world crisis. So, but that would be another one that I would recommend. Really big prize pool. Usually can get out around like ranges between 80 to 120 people come out to those events. But yeah, the privatized events, like someone's got to take control. We can't depend on Wizards of the Coast to do everything. So Tim Goya says, so we were talking about a little earlier about what's collectible in Magic the Gathering. The balance between making Magic the Gathering collectible and also making it a game, because Mark Rosewater basically said, we're not going to really reprint stuff for Modern, or we have no real big plans to crush the prices because we still want to make it collectible. But Tim says, alpha beta is collectible, revised mostly isn't unless there's less collectible print. Niels Nielsen, why are you called Nikachu? Because when I was a little kid, I designed a Pokemon card and I called it Nikachu. And then one day when I needed a username online, I wanted something sharp and memorable. So I ended up going with Nikachu. And I haven't looked back since. His username is like 21 years old. It's been a while. Nicklay says, if they decrease the price, they get much more demand, and the whales will buy more too. I know time of people in my school who love the idea of Magic, but are disgusted by the price and can't afford it. Yes, but there's always going to be somebody. I do agree. You fulfill the demand as you decrease price, but still, even if Magic costs $500 to $700, if Modern costs $500 to $700 instead of $800 to like $1,200, there's always going to be somebody priced out. So the question is, where do you flip that switch? This is sort of this definitely is like a middle classish game. Not a lot of free to play people play Magic. Although they are getting into it because of MTG Arena. That's like literally free to play. But like I said, we got to get more. You got to make Modern more the most accessible thing, not random standard stuff. I'm the voice of the people. I don't know. Not everyone agrees with what I say. Not everyone was on board with the idea of making to change the card, the maximum card from 4 to 2, like bringing it down to 2. Good morning, Tyler. I hope to see some hot fish action on this new computer. Yes. Okay. Here, get this. I've been very busy with a lot of things. Also personal life things too that need to be fulfilled lately. But yeah, we got to get the gameplay action back up. If I don't have like gameplay up today, like within 24 hours, I don't know what. But anyway, my brother's coming over. We're going to play a bunch of MTG Arena. Originally, I wanted to play... What's it called? I wanted to play Modern, but I want to play with Yorion in Mono Blue Merfolk, because I think that might be the best thing you can do for Mono Blue Merfolk right now. You have to just play Yorion. But they might get banned or something on Monday. I don't know what the issue is, so I'm going to hold off on Modern content until I can see what's going to happen on Monday. And then I'll make the Modern content. So there's going to be historic Merfolk between probably I'm going to have enough stuff for today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, and then hopefully I become Diamond in that time. Let's see. All right, where's our questions? Got a lot of stuff here. Chad said, what rank have you gotten into in Historic now that you're playing Arena again? I am at Gold. I'm like 1 win away from Platinum. I'm in Gold Tier 1 right now. And probably you will get to see me play. You'll get to see me get right into Platinum when I start playing. But I have played a little, and then I'm gonna move from playing a little to playing a lot. I missed a good question here. Chad Duchad asks, Nikachu, have you tried Hypnotic Sprite in Historic yet? I replaced Frilled Mystic with it yesterday and started doing much better in combo and control matchups. Free flying creature. I think I know what you're talking about. I think... Oh, that's the counterspell, right? So... Hypnotic Sprite. Oh, I should just do it this way. It's the 2 mana, 2/1 creature, instant counter target spell with converted mana cost 3 or less. So it's possible that this card should see play. I have not hit a barrier yet with the deck that I need to move to Hypnotic Sprite, but I can keep this in mind. So Hypnotic Sprite, however, is going to make your mana base a lot more clunky because Unclaimed Territory now is really useless. At least Unclaimed... With Frilled Mystic, you can name Wizard, and you have no problem casting most of your cards. You can either use the colorless for a lot of the Merfolk, but also you have a lot of wizards in the deck: Silvergill Adept, Trickster, Benthic Biomancer, etc., including the Frilled Mystic. But Hypnotic Sprite is a fairy, so you absolutely will need the double blue in some other colors without using Unclaimed Territory. Not to mention, Mesmeric Glare still cannot use Ancient Ziggurat. So I don't know how your mana base looks, but I know that this card is going to be a lot clunkier than it looks. You might end up having to get to 4 mana, and this can only counter things 3 or less, whereas Frilled Mystic is basically the same thing, but for 4 mana, you can counter anything. And I would say that the most important thing I want to counter are sweepers and combo kills. Things like Scape Shift and Kaya's Wrath. I want to counter those things. I mean, that's basically the reason I played Frilled Mystic. So I would say this. I will keep this card on my radar, but I don't know if I want to go to it yet because I have not hit a barrier with Historic Merfolk yet. So far, I'm very happy with how the card. I'm very happy with how Frilled Mystic. Here, let's. For the people who don't know what Frilled Mystic is, I'm very happy with Frilled Mystic right now. Still doing good. Still doing good. 4 mana, 3/2 creature counters things. That's a huge tempo swing. Huge tempo swing. We've got Grev. What deck would you start with if you're new to Modern? Well, my question is, like, what's your budget? So if you're on a budget, you're really poor, probably the best deck you can play, Mono Red Prowess, without an expensive mana base. Just play with Mountains and just buy all the other core cards. The deck will work perfectly fine. It won't be 100% optimal because your mana base, like playing with what's it called? Playing with the appropriate lands will help you. Like the Horizon lands will do you wonders. I think that deck plays fetch lands, but I don't remember. So like on the top of my head, I don't think it's necessary or mandatory. But the point is, yeah, if you're on a budget, I would start with Mono Red Prowess. And also, if you're not picky about the archetype, start with Mono Red Prowess. You can also start with Merfolk. I have a lot of budget builds for Merfolk that you can have for under $100, especially if you're playing online. What else? And now, if you just want to go in, if you just want to play like a tier 1 deck, just go straight into power. You've got money to spend. You want to spend that money. I think a good deck to invest in right now would be either Simic Control or not Simic Control, Bant Control or Bant Stoneblade. You could also go Eldrazi-tron. That's also a very powerful deck right now. You could still go with Mono Red Prowess. That's a deck that is going to be around for quite a while. Or Burn. Another good possibility after the companions get banned, maybe Dredge. You could go into something like that. And of course, there is Control. Right now is fine for Neoform, but that's a risky deck to buy into because that thing could get banned. Could get banned at any moment. Anyway, those are my opinions. What you could get into, pending your budget, or if you have unlimited money. Claude asks, will you be making content and exploring your 2-of-a-kind Modern format? I will not. Well, I don't know. You know what? I made the proposal for this format, and I definitely pissed a lot of people off, but a lot of people got curious about it. What does it look like? And do I have a picture of my deck list? I gave in Discord, and also I wrote it out in my private Discord, also because I wanted to copy and paste it to everybody who said, oh, Tribal would be dead. Tribal would be dead. No, Tribal would not be dead. I think the decks that would be the most effective are combo decks that require a certain density of their combo pieces in order to combo off. So maybe something like Scape Shift, like we're talking like Bring to Life Scape Shift would get a lot worse. We're talking something like Neoform would get hurt hard because a lot of their combo pieces are not like there's not many redundant combo pieces. In fact, Neoform the deck had always existed since Eldritch Evolution was printed, and it wasn't until Neoform was printed that combo deck finally had the density in order to become a consistent combo deck. So that deck would get hurt. But if you talk about control decks, not much will change. Tempo decks, not much are going to change. Tribal decks, not much is going to change. Like, we're just going to play the second best tribal cards in all of our archetypes. There are plenty. Elves has like more than enough elves to fill in the gaps. Merfolk has way more than enough merfolk to fill in the gaps. Humans has more than enough humans to fill in the gaps, and so on and so on. Tribal is not going to die. A lot of people said, oh, Tribal now doesn't have enough playables. That's ridiculous nonsense. So I think the only, if we max out the card type, the number of any particular card at 2, then I think the only decks that get hurt the most are like pure combo decks that depend on a certain density of combo pieces in order to pull off their combo. But all the other decks are going to be the same. They're just not going to have as consistent game. Like the game is not going to carry out the same way as consistently as it used to, and also they will have to play with watered down cards, but everyone does. I think the archetype that will come out the strongest would end up being Control. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it would turn out like that because they already want a diverse number of threats, and they already sort of limit themselves. Like they don't play with 4 Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. They don't play with 4 Teferi, Time Reveler. They play with 4 Snapcaster Mage, but I don't think the cost of going from 4 to 2 is going to be backbreaking for them. It might hurt going from 4 to 2 Stoneforge Mystic. That won't be as ideal as it used to, but that won't be backbreaking either. So I think the deck that comes out the strongest if we make this rule change would be Control, but I don't think it changes a whole lot of the other things. I certainly don't think like Jund takes over the format. Everyone says Jund's going to take over. Well, they have half the threats that they used to. They have half the Thoughtseizes, half the Inquisition of Kozilek's, half the Tarmogoyfs. Like everyone gets more or less. Everyone gets watered down. Everyone gets watered down, and we have to play with the next best cards. Daniel Wilcox. If Blood Moon is bad, is Spreading Seas bad? Should we be shaving Spreading Seas or replacing it altogether with Aquatex Will, 1 mana cheaper? And the answer is yes, Spreading Seas is pretty bad. And that's why you see in my list right now, I play with 2 copies in the main. And sometimes I just want to put all the copies in the sideboard, but I can't afford to do that because I don't have enough stuff in the main deck. Yeah, Spreading Seas is bad. Now, the reason we don't reach for Aquatex Will yet is because Tron is still very prevalent in today's metagame. We still see Eldrazi Tron, and we still see Tron. And you know what? Spreading Seas is just like one of the best answers to that deck. You draw a card and you hurt their mana. So I think we have to still play with Spreading Seas so long as Tron has a reasonable presence in the metagame. Like if I expect to play against Tron once or twice at a GP, then I think Spreading Seas is better than Aquatex Will. If you cannot interact with a Tron mana, that sucks. That just sucks. You're gonna get your ass kicked because they're gonna tempo you out with mana. Danjo, how do you beat Amulet Titan? You have to have a very aggressive start. So you have to be very proactive. Your best shot is be low to the ground with your creature. Simic has a way better chance than Mono Blue. So you want to go like 1 drop into Lord, and you want to back it up with some very powerful interaction. That would be namely Damping Sphere and Ashiok, Dream Render. So those 2 cards are your best bet at slowing them down enough so that you can carry out and win the game through your aggro start. Counterspells really suck in this matchup because it's hard to counterspell anything. They have access to Cavern of Souls on Giant, and sure, you can counter the Summoner's Pact, but they still have all their mana open. And then after you tap out for your Deprive or whatever the hell you use to counter the Summoner's Pact, then they just cast Primeval Titan anyway because now you're tapped out. And on top of that, you really want to play a tap out game, keep up putting creatures on the battlefield, more lords, and cards like Damping Sphere and Ashiok will allow you to do that. So that would be my more ideal plan to beat Amulet Titan. Chad Duchette says 50 people are watching and only 2 likes. Smash that like button for the Merfolk Master stream. Absolutely. And that calls for a cup of coffee from not sponsored yet, Nescafe Gold Dark Roast. We're going to drink some Nescafe Gold Dark Roast. Oh, delicious. Now that the likes, as soon as people are liking, we're getting like tons of people joining. So I just want to remind everyone what's going on here. I don't know if this is exactly the last time we're being on YouTube, but we are definitely moving to Twitch by Monday. By Monday, we are going to twitch.tv/Nikachu MTG. You can't find me yet. You can't search me up. I don't know why I'm not discoverable on Twitch right now. Maybe it's a privacy setting. I'll figure it out. I'm going to spend basically my weekend trying to figure out how to make Twitch work and make it active for next Monday. But if you put in your browser, hold on, I can copy and paste this myself. if we put in the if we put in the browser, or even I guess you can follow this link. Maybe Lord Magicus is already on it. Apparently, that's not a searchable link. I'm bad at this. Lord Magicus knows what's to do. Knows what to do. Oh, I don't have my. Where's my iPad? Where's my stuff? I don't have my normal thing. I'm getting super chats and I'm not getting notifications. So I got Lantern with the super chat, no comment, but thank you, Lantern. Thank you for the super chat, Lantern. All the love to Lantern. Cute avatar too. Pokemon avatar. Beyond my time though. Is there any other super chats here that I'm missing? No. Where's my iPad? Maybe I should just use my phone. Phone works too. Excellent. That's going to work. All right. So point is we're moving. Be prepared. Be prepared. We're going to Twitch. It's going to happen. And then we're going to crush getting to affiliate. And hopefully, maybe, is it possible to get to partner in one shot? Or do I have to get to affiliate first and then get to partner? Does anyone know about that? Yashvik asks, why is streaming on Twitch better than on YouTube? So 2 reasons. I don't know how much money I make from ad revenue on Twitch, but I think it's. I should look into that. How much the ad revenue is worth? Ad revenue is terrible on YouTube. You know how much I get for every single ad you watch? It's like 1/10 of a penny per ad, basically. So like that's pretty much how it's worth, or maybe like 1/5 of a penny sometimes. So it's not good. Second good reason, as a content creator, I should diversify the number of platforms that I'm on. And lastly, I think Twitch is a better platform for streaming, and I might suck up a community that I've never been able to reach because I don't use Twitch. I'm the YouTuber. So I think it's going to be a better I'm hoping it's going to be a better platform for streaming. I'm going to commit like 4 or 5 months to it and see what happens. If it sucks, we go back to YouTube. But that's where the live streaming is going to happen. But I'm still going to put the VODs on. I'm still going to put the VODs on YouTube. So don't worry. So like the content is still gonna show up here, like back on the channel. But it is so the content's gonna end up here. So if you still like Coffee and MTG with Nikachu, you can still find it there. And also we're gonna do gameplay. We're definitely gonna get into the gameplay. Okay, we'll do a few more questions and then we'll get into some sort of talk show stuff. Daniel Replays asks, "Hey Nikachu, do you still like to play Legacy?" I'm super. How do I put it? I'm getting super spread thin on all the formats that I'm playing. I'm not even playing Pioneer really all that much right now. I'm more focused on Modern and and Historic. But I am interested. I don't really play Legacy, but I do like it when I feel like it. So every so often, I'm like, you know what? I have some deck idea. I mean, like the last time I played Legacy, I went 5-0 because I'm like, you know what? I really want to play with like Cozy's Trickster and Spell Pierce, and let's see how this works out. And it worked out beautifully, although I think I got lucky. And I'm not gonna lie, I want to play this Paradigm Shift Merfolk deck. I want to play the Paradigm Shift Merfolk deck in Modern. So like one thing I want to play test is playing with Inverter of Truths in Modern. Inverter of Truth and play Thassa's Oracle and win the game. So I have a bit of an itch for Legacy, but it is I just don't play it that often. If I had to play it very, very regular, I'd probably not be happy. But once in a while, it's beautiful. KO asks, you haven't been using Force and Negation in your sideboard. Do you think after the Lurrus metagame, this counterspell will get better positioned due to bant control, ad nauseam, and neoform combos? So one of the reasons I'm not using Force Negation right now is just because I think Chalice of the Void is there's only so many counter spells I want to play with in my 75, because like I want to have Chalice of the Void, but I also want to have Deprive. Like, is there room for Force Negation? And so that it just comes down to that. If Chalice of the Void becomes worth a lot less, I will lean into Force Negation more. Because right now, Force Negation is still pretty good. We do have Ad Nauseam in the format right now. We do have Neoform in the format right now. We do have Bant Control, but I wanted to really leverage Chalice of the Void against... Like, first off, Chalice of the Void, still good against Neoform. Still good against Ad Nauseam. Not good at all against Bant Control. But so it is a counterspell that I think is good against most of the decks that I would want to play Force Negation against, except that I think it's better against like these Prowess decks and so on, the Lurrus decks. Although I could be wrong. Like more and more of these stupid Lurrus decks are splashing black, so they have access to Kolaghan's Command and crap like that. So the power of Chalice of the Void is waning. It was very good in the beginning. It may not be as good as it used to be. Toilet paper roll, over or under? I am an over. I like over. Under looks... over looks classy. Under looks like... I don't know, like it's naked or something. Michael Cape, what changes to the companion mechanic this Monday? We don't know. We're going to have to find out. That's for Wizards to know and for us to speculate wildly on. Are you still working on Violus builds? Right now, I am not. Right now, there's a lot of counterspells in the format. Going Violus is a bit scary at the moment. But in the future, I'm definitely more than willing to go Violus. Gavin Stewart reminds everyone, like and subscribe, everyone. Support the Merfolk Master. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. How to beat Merfolk with Eldrazi or just with any modern deck, if that's possible to answer. So you want to know how to beat Merfolk? It depends on the deck. Okay, I'll just answer it for like Eldrazi. Eldrazi best bet to beating Merfolk is to just kill all the creatures. I play a creature, you kill it. You probably should prioritize killing the creatures over playing creatures. So if you have the option, so if I have a Lord of Atlantis out and you've got an option to use Spatial Contortion or play a Matter Reshaper, you're actually better off probably killing the Lord of Atlantis. If I don't get anything going, like in the first 4 to 5 turns, I'm probably just losing the long game. Like that's my best chance of winning is I play Lord of Atlantis, you play Matter Reshaper, and then next on my turn I play like, I don't know, another Lord of Atlantis, Violence something, tap down Matter Reshaper attack, and then all of a sudden I'm getting like some real momentum that you may not have mana for to deal with. I mean, now you kill a creature, but then I refill the board with a few more creatures and really attack you. Whereas if you just kill the Lord of Atlantis, as I try to put more creatures on the battlefield, you can still snipe them off with like Dismember or Walking Ballista on 2 or something like that. And eventually, if your life total is very high, because I have to take somewhat of an aggro, I try to take an aggro approach. My best games against Eldrazi is if I've ended up being aggro and you couldn't do anything about it. Oh, no, I gotta be back. My brother just arrived. Give me a second. I'll be back. I'm not going anywhere. Hello. Hey, come in. I'm coming back. I'm back. Ugh. So the deal with Eldrazi, I think they have to be more like the games that I'm helpless and hopeless and I can't win is because like I play a creature, they kill it. I play a creature, they kill it. I play a creature, they kill it. And then all of a sudden I play a creature, they play Thought-Knot Seer, exile another creature from my hand, and now there's a damn 4/4 in my way. And I don't have many threats on the board. I didn't get the right density on the battlefield. And I think a lot of other decks can take a very similar approach if they can. So learn from Eldrazi. But one difficult thing about Eldrazi is that the late game cards are sort of overwhelming. Like I can get stone blocked by a Thought-Knot Seer very easily. I think Rosewater's post was pretty bad. The reprint sets are meant for people that can't afford certain sets. It defeats the purpose of reprinting them if you make the box cost $300. Yes, it does. I mean, like, people are crying for reprints, and the reason is they want the cards cheaper. That's the point. so that they can buy into the format. But I will say this to all the people out there, and maybe this is a bit disingenuous. There are sales every so often. You know, you want the cards to be cheaper. Well, there's an economic crisis going on right now. The cards are cheaper, so if you really want to get into it, you can buy in. Now it's disingenuous because now you might not have the money that you can to buy in. But I would say for anyone trying to buy into Modern, save up, make it your, I don't know, magic fund, and then you would have it whenever there was another big economic dip or like magic market dip for one reason or another. That's the only problem. Like everything's on sale right now, but people may or may not have the money. Michael Cape, you just earned a lot of really cool points on your name with my 9-year-old son, who is a big Pokemon fan. There you go. Hey, I'm all about Pokemon. I played Pokemon Blue. I got the blue one because I like Sandshrew. Go Sandshrew. I also like the Pokemon episode with Sandshrew in it. It was a great episode for anyone who saw the Sandshrew episode.
It was like number 3.
Number 3. It was very early in Ash's adventure. Very, very early. My brother, I can sense he's about to make a cup of Nescafe Gold Dark Roast.
Actually, I just finished a cup of coffee.
Oh, okay, forget it. What did you drink? Tim Hortons? What did you drink?
Tim Hortons.
Tim Hortons. My brother, you ask for sponsorship from Tim Hortons. Tell them you're a celebrity. You can use my follower count and subscriber count because technically you're part of this channel. Oh, a Florist Staple asks, planning on live streaming games anytime soon? Yes, absolutely. I don't know if it's going to start on Monday, but it's going to, okay, I've got this figured out. This is cool. So we got this, I've got this live stream setup figured out. I don't have Streamlabs OBS figured out yet. So that's a little bit of learning I'm going to do over the weekend. It might be sloppy or dirty in the beginning, but we're going to make it work. But I am definitely going to start streaming. We're probably going to see a lot of Arena right now because I really need to grind. Like, I need to grind to Mythic. And it's grinding. Like, it's seriously grinding. You are just constantly playing games. It's work. So in the beginning, we're probably going to see a lot of historic Merfolk. And then from there, once I get to Mythic, we can do whatever the hell we want. But I need to get to Mythic. We need to get to #1 with Merfolk. I think Merfolk is a very serious deck in historic, and it's just not well recognized because someone needs to put up results with it. And I hope to play in it was too bad I didn't get my computer in time to play the Hooglandia Open. He had Jeff Hoogland had an open event not too long ago. I think it was last weekend. Damn, I just didn't have it up online and operational by then. Endgame says, how does your family feel about your MTG fame on YouTube? I don't know how much they care. I know my parents bragged a lot, or especially my mother bragged a lot when I was playing poker. She didn't know how the checks were coming in the mail, but she didn't care. It just worked out. Is there any other? Excellent. Okay, so but I have no idea how much they care. Probably when I start bringing in some serious checks again, they'll be like, "That's great, that's great." What else do we have? Professor just tweeted there are Double Master VIP packs for like $92 each. If the regular set is for the whales, who the hell is that for? It's for, hey, what's larger than a whale in the sea?
The whale is one of the biggest.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest. Is there something bigger?
No, that's it. That one whale is the largest thing.
The one whale. It's for the Loch Ness Monster, Lord Magicus. It's for the Loch Ness Monster. All right, I actually don't have a whole lot of time today, so let's start inviting people. If you want to come in on click the link. If you want to be a part of the show, if you want to be part of the live stream, click the link, streamyard.com/a bunch of random crap. And let's have you on. Let's talk. Ask if you have any questions. Ask me your questions. I'm here to answer whatever the hell you have to ask. And let's have some fun. I should probably try to get this going a lot earlier. Whatever. I'm still figuring this all out. It's all good. It's all good. Just out of curiosity, am I like too loud for people? Like I tried to listen to this on my phone and I thought I was like blowing my computer speakers. I'm a loud person. Maybe I got to turn the gain off of my computer. All right, we got our first guest. We've got Dan W. Welcome. Hold on, I gotta let's get rid of this banner. Beautiful. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you? Where are you from?
Chicago.
And it's nice to see you. I recognize you in the comment section all the time.
Yeah, make it whenever I can.
Awesome. How can I help you? What's
got
up?
Got a couple questions for you.
Awesome.
First, quick question. Do you prefer to be called by your first name in these sorts of videos? Because I know some celebrities like to say, or would you rather have the Nikachu moniker?
Might as well just go with Nikachu.
Right.
I mean, I have no problem being called by Jonathan, but within the Nikachu world, I might as well be Nikachu. It's how most people just know me anyway.
Oh, cool. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit today about mana bases, or mana in general, or specifically lands. I want to talk about the changing nature of lands and the power of lands, specifically in 2019 and 2020. Part of my beef with 2019 and 2020 has been that nobody seems to be talking about, has been cards like Blast Zone, Castle Garenbrig, Mystic Sanctuary, Field of the Dead. These cards can't be interacted with. How do you feel about that and the way that Magic design has gone with lands? Or at least powerful lands that can't be interacted with?
Yeah, traditionally there was a card like Stifle, and maybe there should be more stifling effects or more accessible stifling effects, because we are seeing, like, especially with Field of the Dead in the like standard and what's it called, Pioneer, it was just like just no way to deal with it. Turns out Valakut is a lot more fair than Field of the Dead, even though it's basically the same card. Some are designed fine. Like Mystic Sanctuary is a very good addition to control decks, but it doesn't seem to be overwhelmingly powerful, and it's actually really hard to. You have to build your deck around that one a lot harder. Like I tried to use that card and it just failed miserably. My Mutable, my Cavernous Souls, and the Horizon lands just all get in the way, and I barely get to 4 lands anyway. So the Mystic Sanctuary ended up being a complete flop. Not to mention, especially with Mystic Sanctuary, there's actually a lot of ways you can interact with it, because you can just blow the graveyard whenever your opponent is trying to put it back on top of your library, and you don't get it immediately. So that one is good. Overall, I like the direction of actually just making more lands. I wish there were more things to, like, I guess I'm hoping that there's going to be more things to do with them. Because the thing is, like, usually, I think what Wizards is trying to do is they're trying to make mana do something. Because normally you would just flood out. They're trying to reduce non-games like that. On the other hand, I understand that they're trying to immediately make these lands playable, which that means they have to push them a little bit, or a lot, for them to see play.
I think Blast Zone has pushed quite a bit, and Field of the Dead.
Blast Zone didn't turn out to be too bad, because it at least was a lot more expensive version of a card that already existed, like Engineered Explosives. I guess the only crappy thing about Blast Zone is that it's automatically on 1. I would rather it was already on 0, and it cannot affect anything except tokens.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why they kept it from going to 0 is because they didn't want to have you have the ability to immediately wipe out a board full of tokens.
Right.
I've seen it back and forth about that. My beef with Blast Zone is it's just particularly damning against the Merfolk deck, because we have so many 2-drops. Everything's a 2-drop. So it just absolutely hoses us so hard.
Well, fortunately, with Blast Zone, we actually have some ability to interact with it. Like, either we use Spreading Seas, and the thing is, we will always have time to put a Spreading Seas on this, because it starts off at 1 counter, and of course, the bulk of our creatures are at 2 at the convert mana cost 2. We could, in theory, Tectonic Edge it. In theory, I say in theory because it can be at 3, tick up to a counter, and then they just play their 4th land and activate it, and we don't get a chance to Tectonic Edge anything. But there's like land destruction. Like the answers are out there if we want to beat a Blast Zone. So that's why I'm not, even as a Merfolk player, I'm not particularly scared of Blast Zone. I will say, okay, there's one deck I hate Blast Zone against, and that's Dredge, because they can Blast Zone, blow up my Grafdigger's Cage or whatever permanent that I have to deal with the graveyard, and then they can just Life from the Loam back. I would say that's the only matchup where I find Blast Zone is back-breaking. Because they can, I can't slowly win the game against Dredge, because they might eventually find Blast Zone, and then all of a sudden they wipe all the stuff that I have on the board and bring it back and recycle it over and over again.
I was going to say, I'm not a fan of seeing Blast Zone and Amulet Titan, personally.
So Blast Zone, you prefer, this would be on your top 5 list of cards that you could Thanos snap away.
That was an excellent question by Magicus, by the way.
Yes.
I don't know if it's in my top 5, but it's definitely in my top 10. Oh, it's just so brutal.
I guess the thing is, I've lived through engineered explosives for so long, and there are so many decks that would recycle it from, well, I wouldn't say there's so many decks that recycled it from the graveyard, but certainly when Emery came out, now I felt like I'm up against engineered explosives over and over again. Blast Zone is clunky. Like,
here's the thing about engineered explosives, though. Like, you can, against engineered explosives, you can run a Collector Roof. You can run a Stony Silence. You know, you can
or counterspell.
Or counterspell. Yeah, Force of Negation is a spectacular card against engineered explosive, but Blast Zone, there's just nothing you can do aside from Spreading Seas, like you were saying.
Yeah,
or
so you basically have a 1-turn window to interact with Blast Zone. So my deal between Blast Zone and engineered explosives is that engineered explosives usually comes down on turn 2 when my shields are down, because I'm already trying to apply threats, and then it's active the entire time. And then like I'm forced not to put another creature on the battlefield until my opponent pops this thing. And then if I don't, that just gives my opponent more turns to like get back in the game. Like, for example, they could play a Planeswalker and then they just bounce one of my they bounce my 2-drop, and now I have nothing on the board, and now I have to play maybe into the engineered explosives. Whereas with Blast Zone, well, it's that's what I like about it. It's clunky, and it actually takes up. It's clunky, and it soaks up a lot of mana. Engineered Explosive soaks up 4 mana. This site soaks up about 7, because you have to tap it and then pay 2 mana to put a counter on it, and then you have to pay 4 basically to blow it up, because you have to tap it and pay 3. So that's how I feel about Blast Zone versus other things. The only, like you said, like what Amulet Titan you see this against?
So it's a budget option, you know, for Amulet Titan, right? If I can't afford engineered explosives, I'm going to run Blast Zone.
Right, and they can easily fetch it out if they want to with their first Titan activation, and they'll have and it doesn't matter to them how much they spend on it, because they can activate it no matter what.
Or Talaria West, they can tutor it up with Talaria West if they already have what they need.
Yep, absolutely.
This leads into my second question. It's also lands related. My second question is that I don't know if this is the Hearthstone effect, which is I think what we should be calling it, by the way. Wizards, at least in my mind, seems to be doing away with or making it very, very easy to get the mana you need in whatever color you need with cards like Astrolabe or Wrenn and 6. Now the Triome lands. Do you think that that's intelligent design? Do you think that that's design that we should be enthusiastic about? I mean, yes, it makes for less non-games in that, like you were saying, Wizards doesn't want us to have non-games. But I also think it's like you're making it too easy in terms of mana bases. Is it like Humans alone? Now, Humans hasn't really changed since it came out in the scene with what's it called? Right. Humans is a $5 deck that's really essentially playing 1 color mana base.
Yeah,
because of all of their lands tap for the same thing.
Exactly.
So, like, is it too easy to cast the spells that we need to cast now because mana is just so easy to make? Mana bases are just so easy to make. It's
funny you say that, because like people say the mana is free, but there still is a bit of a cost to a lot of its stuff. Like, for example, if you compare it to Legacy, that mana is really free.
Yeah.
You fetch, you just get Underground Sea, you start tapping for mana. Where here you fetch, you get Watery Grave, and you actually pay some life. And the more greedy you want to make this mana, then the more damaging, like the more vulnerable you get to against decks like Burn. So they are definitely trying to push for non-games. They are definitely trying to make the mana, I don't know if as free as possible. There's always a bit of a cost. Astrolabe, I would say, is the first card that does not put a good cost on a person, like on the mana base of a deck. It would appear that Astrolabe decks have there's like no downside to doing this. We have 3 color decks that are very comfortably playing Astrolabe, and it's an excellent cycler.
Yeah. Oh no, 4 color and 5 color decks too. I mean,
yes. I would say there is a real cost to going 5 color with humans. Like, for example, I've tried to build like 5 color Merfolk decks, and then all of a sudden I realized, well, I can't play Deprive now. I can't play any colored spells. All my sideboard cards have to be creatures or artifacts. So there is a bit of a cost to humans. They play. I mean, it's the cost is worth it. They play Dismember, which they can pay off of colorless mana.
And their creatures are a little bit more interactive in that, like, Freebooter and Meddling Mage and
absolutely
Reflector Mage, which should have been a Merfolk, by the way. Oh, that irks me.
Yes, it should have been just a Merfolk Wizard. You missed it, Wizards. So you threw away you threw away our opportunity for a great Merfolk creature.
If you got time, I'll ask one more.
No, just to address, yeah, you can ask one more. I just want to finish. I understand the problem with the mana bases. I think overall it is good though, because I've pulled people asking about just the London Mulligan and how it smooths out hands, and even the ponies say, "Hey, I'm a pony. I play at FNM as a pony. I hate getting mana screwed. Look, I go out like once a week or once a month." And I don't want to go play non-games. I would rather get smashed, but I get to play my deck than to not. And about 80% of the audience says we hate non-games. Yes, to London Mulligan. 20% no, we don't. There should be some variance. It makes you able to win. Like even if you win because your opponent got completely mana screwed, it is beneficial to the game because it allows anyone to feel like they ever won at any point in the game at a time.
Yeah.
So having more free mana will help enable people to build their decks, and for the most part, I think there is a punishment to the free mana. It's not 100% free. It's pretty free. I'm not gonna lie, like it's pretty free. The only card that is really super free that I think is in good debate is Arkham's Astrolabe, because there appears to be almost no downside to this card, and it is creating a bit of an imbalance. There's like, well, give or take. It's the Blood Moon. It's the Blood Moon debate. Is Blood Moon a good thing or is Blood Moon a bad thing? And we see in Pioneer, there's no Blood Moon. So if you don't like Blood Moon, go there. But like Blood Moon does keep a lot of stupid things from like getting too out of control. And
it encourages
Arkham's Astrolabe.
It encourages an honesty to your mana base, right? Like you can't be too greedy with a Blood Moon. I'm pro Blood Moon. I hate it. I hate the card, but I recognize its necessity. So,
okay, you're on the Blood Moon is
it's a necessary evil.
Necessary evil. Yes, that's the perfect way of putting it. Necessary evil. All right. So what's your last question?
I want to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of instant speed play in modern Merfolk in particular. I'm a big fan of playing at instant speed whenever possible. So I don't necessarily think that we are taking advantage of everything that a mono blue, specifically mono blue Merfolk deck can do at instant speed. Brineborn Cutthroat is a card that I'm curious about. I think it's a build around card. I think it's a card that you really need to build around. It's essentially blue Tarmogoyf. But I don't know if we're doing that. Should we be leveraging more instant speed interaction? Should we be leveraging more counterspell? Should we be leveraging more interaction in the form of dismember, push, path, bolt, whatever flavor of off color you want to benefit cards like this? I know a lot of the Merfolk community is not on Brineborn, but I think it's a card that has potential. between Brineborn Cutthroat, Merfolk Trickster, Brazen Bower, Dismember, a Counter Suite, I've played this card and I've had it as high as a 6/7 pretty easily. And I'm sorry, not a 6/7, a 7/6 pretty easily. And I just don't see why. Would get your opinion about this particular card or what we can do to better interact it, or I'm sorry, better play at instant speed.
So the deal with Brineborn Cutthroat is I do see the advantages of this card, and I did play it in my blue-red and my Vialist versions of Merfolk, because if I want to hold up mana and I don't have Vial, then I want as many flash creatures as possible, and Brineborn Cutthroat was part of that list. And it was okay. Like, it was honestly, it was just good as a random 2-power creature that I could flash in at end of turn. And then if it got the counters, that was just a bonus. But that was not like, because the problem is you always had to play instant speed on your opponent's turn. And there's a lot of situations where you're tapping out on your turn because your opponent's interacting with you on your turn. But still, it was a convenient 2/1 creature that I could flash in at my opponent's turn. I think what Brineborn Cutthroat needs is just more flash Merfolk. I think that's just what it comes down to.
Which will get eventually.
And as we print more, this card will get better. So like we're on our way. We've got Merfolk Trickster. I think Harbinger is a bit clunky, but maybe that's a possibility given the right metagame. We have Brineborn Cutthroat. This wasn't that I too got like 6-powered Brineborn Cutthroats before, because I can continuously play at my opponent's turn. I would say another thing is that Brineborn Cutthroat will work better when the metagame slows down. Like really slow down, because if the metagame is very fast, we are better off just going. We have to have the play pattern of like turn 1 creature, turn 2 lord, turn 3 lord, and try to smash our opponent's face as quickly as possible. Going turn 1 like Benthic Biomancer into turn 2 Brineborn Cutthroat, and then pass the turn because we need to make Cutthroat bigger is not like because we can't flash in lords at instant speed. So
I think that if we're going to run Brineborn Cutthroat, sadly, our 1-drop slot takes the hit there. I just don't know if Benthic Biomancer is where we need to be in a deck that wants to run an effect like this.
No, yeah, it's true. It's totally true. So we might have something else for that slot. Maybe, I don't know. There's that flash. We may not even play this because I played Brineborn Cutthroat in a relatively heavy spell like deck.
So if the question is if the problem is that we got to keep people from interacting on our turn, because is Teferi or 3-Fairy then the answer? I mean, that card does essentially everything that deck wants to do. It draws cards, it deals with threats, it keeps us from having to deal with our opponents on our own turn.
So the deal with Teferi Time Reveler, and I played with it in Blue White Merfolk before, it's good, but it's not great because we are very bad at protecting it. Yeah. We are really bad at protecting it. Like we have nothing on like look at Brineborn Cutthroat. It's got 1 toughness. So like basically anything that attacks into Teferi, we're just gonna let Teferi die. We bound something. We drew a card. Awesome. And also we can't really take advantage of the fact that we can play sorceries on our opponent's turn. It's still not a bad card.
The only sorcery that I can think of is Aquatext Will. That's the only one that we want to leverage.
Maybe. Although that's still that's too situational, I think, to play in a Brineborn Cutthroat deck. You just might as well play just something else, anything else.
I can't think of anything else. But
so I think Brineborn Cutthroat, it has potential, but it either needs more flash Merfolk to really bring it up, because I think ideally we are not playing with spells, we're playing with creatures, like more Merfolk Trickster like cards, and it definitely requires a slower metagame, or metagame that's not super aggro against us, because otherwise we are going to get blown out of the water playing this sort of, well, I can't be sure. Who knows what those flash creatures look like? Maybe they're more like Merfolk Trickster like things that like tap things down and ice them down, like Water Trap Weaver or something. So I don't know what those cards look like. Maybe we're going to get, because this is not interactive. Brineborn Cutthroat's not an interactive card. It's just a flash creature that gets bigger. That's fine. That's great. But the other flash creatures need to be really good at interacting with the board. And that's I think all we need. We just need more more flash creatures that are going to build a Merfolk deck for Brineborn Cutthroat.
Yep. All right. Well, I don't want to bogart any time from anybody else, but thanks. I appreciate this. This was fun.
Awesome. Hope to see you again sometime. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much, Dan.
All right. We'll see you.
That was awesome. That was great. I'm going to thank Dan for his great questions. Great discussion on the power level of all the lands. Okay, I'll spend about 9 more minutes answering questions. Let's see. Where do we go? Where did I finish off from? Nick Lay Smith, how do you feel about companions? I personally think that if people want that kind of playstyle, they should play Commander or make a new Commander format more similar to Modern. So I've had my opinion about this, but I like the idea, I like the mechanic that you bend your deck around to play this 8th card from the sideboard. The problem I have with the companions is that they are pushed. Like if all the companions were as crappy as Umori or something like that, or Giganta, that's fine. But the problem is cards like Yorion and Lurrus were just like way too pushed. I mean, you look at Lurrus. I didn't even really look at this card during the spoiler season, but if I did, I would have said, "Holy crap, that's going to see Legacy play!" Like obviously. And that card is really, really pushed. So that's the problem with the thing. I'll reiterate again, if like in my opinion, Planeswalkers are okay. If they're okay, we've made 1 million Planeswalkers, tons of them don't see play because they're fine. But if they originally printed the Planeswalkers and Oko was one of the first Planeswalkers, people would have got the impression, this mechanic's busted. This is awful. We can't have any more Planeswalkers. We got to stop this. Okay, Rosewater, you're out of your mind for this Planeswalker debacle. But fortunately, they didn't print Oko in the first set of Planeswalkers. I don't even know how much play that the first Planeswalker saw. Like probably not too much. So I think I like the companion mechanic. I understand they push them too much. And now, like I don't know how they balance it properly, but I don't know. Maybe they can't. But like that's my opinion. I like the companion mechanic. I like having access to more cards. To be honest, I would rather Magic was about a game where someone doesn't run out of cards. Like we are just constantly throwing threats at each other. Every turn, something is coming up, and then whoever plays better wins. Instead of one guy mulligans to 5, they run out of stuff quickly. Next person is throwing more things than the other person can, and they lose because of that. Or or one side floods out and then the other side runs out of resources. I rather the game was about like a slugfest of resources being thrown at everybody, and that was one direction the companions could take you. But the problem is the companions that were good were way too damn good. They're just ridiculously good. Lurrus should have just been, like as I've said, a 3/2 creature with lifelink. That's it. All right. So if you want to play with just 2 CMC creatures or less, you have access to a 3/2 lifelink creature, and that's all it does. Yorion could have been a 4/5 creature with flying. That's it. You want to play with an 80 card deck with a 4/5 flyer? Go for it. That's the restriction. No other abilities outside of that. So that's how I feel about the companions. Oh, we got Niels Nielsen. Nikachu, do you think there will be a dominating deck that would get banned after the companions? Probably not. I didn't think about that. I just think about all the decks that are going to go back to where they were before. I think Eldrazi-tron is going to be very well positioned to get back to one of the top decks to beat. Same thing with Mono Red Prowess. Mono Red Prowess is still pretty good right now, but I don't think anything is going to be positioned to be banned or dominating after the companions get banned. Yeah, I don't think not that I know of. I don't know how like the other cards interact with the current metagame. Lassie asks, what do you think of Mono Green Stompy? It's my favorite deck, and I've been playing it since 3 years now. I think there's some room to innovate it. Like a lot of lists don't play Aether Vial, some lists do. but overall, it's like it needs some very serious interaction. Maybe it's got it now. Like it has access to Collector Oof now. It didn't have access to that before. But for the most part, it's like, you know, a really solid tier 3 deck. It needs some help. Still needs a lot of help. But like, you know what? I don't know if anyone has like really tried to make mono green stompy like a serious thing. Maybe like with one splash, that deck completely changes into something like incredibly powerful. Like just adding one more color. Like maybe it doesn't need to be mono green. I don't know what else the format has access to, but the fact that it has like so many powerful 3-drop creatures, like we have a Steel Leaf Champion, that's thing's freaking amazing. It's even amazing even in modern. Yes, remember in these shows, Nick, if you put the 3 question marks when you start and end the question, that will I will see it for sure. I have much better. So did Nick have a question? Let's see. Let's look for Nick. A new Nick. If I don't find it quickly, I'm going to give up. Okay, I give up. Lisa says, my teacher plays Magic. Did your teachers play Magic? No. When I like Magic the Gathering was a super fringe game when I had teachers, at least in high school. Super fringe. 5, I'm not even going to try. The keyword soup cards like Questing Beast. What fire designed creature stronger than True Name Nemesis would you come up with? What's something stronger than True Name Nemesis? I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure. Okay, maybe it's still my Merfolk Champion of the Parish. They probably aren't printing it because they know it's too powerful. I don't care. Give me the damn Champion of the Parish Merfolk. Give it to me, Wizards. Merfolk needs like one good 1-drop. Just give it to us. Monster asks, can you talk about your recording and editing process a little bit? I want to make some Legacy Fish vids, but haven't done much video editing or anything before. So I record generally with, not generally, generally, like 95% of the time, I'm recording with OBS, Open Broadcast Software. That is free. That's great. And it is not easy to set up. So get ready to do some learning. It is pretty frustrating. It's not user-friendly at all. But I'm sure there's enough tutorials out there to help you. Now, when it comes to editing, I do have a degree in filmmaking. So there is a bit of editing. I have a bit of editing background, period. That being said, I would recommend a software called Camtasia. It costs money. Do I have Camtasia up? Here, let's open Camtasia. Let's get it ready. Can I open Camtasia? I use a software called Camtasia. It's not a video editor, but it can record your screen and edit. It has an editor built into it. That's half the point. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let's share my screen. There we go. Okay, so this is what my editor looks like. And what I want to say about Camtasia is it is super user-friendly, all right? They have a tutorial system on their website that you'll get through in like 30 minutes, and it just basically goes over everything that this thing can do. And what I like about Camtasia is that, like, okay, it costs money, and I have no problem paying for it because it is so dead simple to use. All right, you don't need a university degree to get into this. So many times I hear on Twitter, okay, I'm going to spend the next month learning Adobe Premiere Pro. Look, you don't have time. As a content creator, you don't have time to learn more crap, all right? You just want to like get into it and go. And I think Camtasia, if you're interested and you don't have an editing background, you should. It would be worth the money to use this. You can have it for free, but there's like a watermark on your video when you render it, which is not good. It's pretty ugly. So this is definitely what I would recommend as an editor for anyone that wants a really user-friendly editing experience, because 99% of what you're going to do as a content creator, you can do on Camtasia. Like 99% of what you do, and like that 1% you can like forego. It's not a big deal. On top of that, you don't need to edit stuff. Like that's another thing. Like you could edit to make it look more fancy and flashy. And that's how I enter in like the, that's how I, what's it called, put in, that's how like I thank my patrons and I show my sponsors, and there's that little graphic at the beginning with Nikachu MTG, and there's the music. That all came from editing that in afterwards. But you know what? It's not that bad in the begin, especially in the beginning. Make it as easy as possible for yourself. Just get OBS, record the video. The moment you like, I also edit out the beginning, but you know what? Just be careful. You start recording, just start talking. It's gonna look great anyway, and you're done the video. Stop recording, upload it to YouTube, and you're good to go. And then over time, as you feel more confident, you want to take your content creation thing to the next level. Start editing stuff, because in my opinion, the biggest barrier to content creators is that they get overwhelmed in the beginning. Just make things as easy as possible. Start with OBS, start recording things, and after it's done being recorded, you just put it up on YouTube, and then do that enough times that you're comfortable to the point where, all right, let's get into editing. You know, let's make the videos more flashy and interesting. All right, last question. Mikey J, will drinking Nescafe really improve my mental alertness while grinding MTG Arena? Yes, I think any coffee is going to improve your mental alertness. There's like studies on this, like you're going to improve your performance by like 5%. And, you know, these studies have not been like super replicated, but there's at least some research on this. And it's a world of difference between, you know, performing with coffee and without. That's not to say I don't have water. I mean, when I'm performing at a serious level, I'm drinking coffee, and then I might drink water in between, because you have to keep yourself hydrated. But like, without a doubt, I take advantage of caffeine. Caffeine is the I have not played in a tournament without caffeine. What can I say? Red Bull is targeting gamers for a reason. All right, so with that, I want to remind everybody that this show happens Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Don't forget to follow me on twitch.tv/NikachuMTG. Get there in the browser. Follow me. That's where we are going to be on Monday for sure. Like, we're going to at least be on Twitch at Monday. I might be on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I don't know, but we're going to Twitch. All right, so we are going to start streaming on Twitch, growing on Twitch. We got to get that affiliate, and then after affiliate, we're going for partnership. We're going to get everything. And also, I'd like to thank everyone for your questions. We had a great conversation today. I also like to thank Dan W. for coming on the show today. That was awesome. I love having guests. And as we grow this bigger, you know, we're going to get more and more guests onto the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, thank you all for tuning in. This has been Nikachu, Merfolk Master. Having a good morning with all of you. Take care. See you next time. See you Monday.